could be a flex to try and facilitate for that pressure down bot.
Absolutely, and you can see the bans there from BDS trying to facilitate, right? They get rid of the Kalista, they get rid of the Draven, two things that Jeskla is kind of known for all they have been playing towards the top side. We have seen the occasional more aggressive pick out at the side of Vitality.Bee, and they've gone looking potentially towards an Aphelios here.
Okay.
But it is going to be into that Caitlyn.
All right. So when you lock in something like this Aphelios with the Karma, there is just that chance of just the explosive level 6, actually sometimes earlier kill threat. And the way that you shut down a Caitlyn is you just break them early. One death on a Caitlyn is the same as like 2 or 3 deaths on another champion. When Caitlyn dies, things go very, very wrong from that point. Problem is getting to that point, right? We saw games like Rogue versus Mad Lions, actually in the LEC, where they picked out a Caitlyn lane, and if it doesn't get going well early, things get awkward.
Now, what I really like from Vitality.Bee is that the second they see the Caitlyn, they take away the Karma. The other two really good pairings for the Caitlyn is the Lux and the Morgana. Morgana really does suffer into Karma, because Karma really easily, with Mantra, you can break that Black Shield and then you chain up your CC onto whatever the target is, right? So right here, I'm expecting to potentially see something like a Lux, which also opens opportunities towards the bot side of the map for ganks. Karma and Aphelios, yes, they're very good at pushing, but they're also extremely immobile, especially before the Gale Force onto the Aphelios.
And the other thing that you're looking for now, actually, is I'm looking over at Vitality.Bee saying, okay, if you know that the Caitlyn's going to be locked in like this, you're playing towards pressure bot side, and you're against an Azir, which is kind of the uncontested priority mid right now. It was Ahri a little bit earlier into the year, but if you play Azir, Azir tends to get banned nowadays. That's locked in. Now I'm looking at Diplex and saying, all right, well, what are you going to lock into this mid lane now? You're not going to have that Silas, which can threaten that pick. You can maybe lock in something like a Talia, which can help kind of roam across the map, and actually it is going to be that...
We'll get the matchup anyway.
You've got it anyway. You set it up.
I'm so glad I got to talk about this, and that at least it's still useful at some point in the champion select.
Fun fact, the Ahri statue that is on the casters is actually Nightmare's own one he brought from home. It was so big, they had to move it to the side of the desk.
The conversation went something like this. Hey, Artrum, do you want to be Pantheon today? And I was like, well, if that's going to happen, I'll fire back in my own way. But
the other conversation is trouble. You have to sit on the side because the statue will cover you. Well, jokes on you, Alex. It covers you too.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
All right,
just
back on the champ select. So, Aatrox has been one of these picks that I call an AD mate. Basically, it's really easy for him to farm. He doesn't necessarily have any really hard counters over in lane. And also, when you have Sigenda, who has been one of the most versatile top laners we have seen in the league, playing from tanks to enchanters to mages to the typical fighters that we see. Oh,
okay.
That is pretty insane. We see that. I want to finish the point right there that Aatrox is one of the most stable picks that you can pick right now and play it into anything.
And what benefits Aatrox is more healing. So what a lot of people don't quite realize until it happens right in front of them is that when Aatrox pops ults, it's not only his healing which is increased, it's all sources of healing. So if Aatrox pops ult, you get a wish coming in. You get like a 1W from the Soraka. You are back to full in all situations. The Soraka can very much help towards Adam's impact in these fights as well. But we have a proper fist fight lane in this top side. While you do have this ranged champion of the Aatrox, Camille closes the distance and can take good trades.
I'm not a big fan though, because when there's a set to one later on and an Azir into a team fight, and we of course know that Adam really likes to stick into his lane and sort of like run all the way towards that nexus through that top lane. Sigenda is the type of player that will play aggressive in his lane, but he will always look to group to help his team in these team fights. And having Soraka with silence around and healing, having the Azir to shove you out of your ultimate, having the Sejuani to be proccing these stuns, Sigenda's going to truly have to find the perfect flanks to play the game.
But you do have a Wukong with target access. You have an Ahri that can follow up too. I think that Sigenda is going to be sat here kind of going, yes, you need to look for those longer range angles, right? Look for those engages, but you have a lot of ability to skirmish on the side of Vitality.Bee. If it comes to the 5v5s and everyone's already there, you got to favor the Aatrox backed up by all this healing. On the other side, if you get fights before it comes into the big fights, I think Vitality.Bee have more tools.
Completely agree. And honestly, in the green room, we were having this discussion that honestly, for once, the Amazon EU Masters, the champion picks, the playstyles haven't been as varied as they often been in past tournaments. This is a little bit different, actually. We've got that Caitlyn and the Soraka, something the Soraka has kind of come up a little bit over recent weeks. We saw it paired with the Kalista of all things, so pretty damn scary over in the LEC, of course. And now I'm kind of excited to see how this works with the Aatrox, as you were saying. I'm pretty down for this game already.
Someone's been taking some notes from
Rogue.
Someone's been taking some notes from Rogue.
Copy my homework, just to make it obvious.
Well, if it can win you the LEC, maybe it can win you game one here of this all-important quarterfinals.
Yes, it can. And as we head out onto the Rift, nothing super scary happening at the level 1, though. early invades, at least right now. It looks like the 5-man fan. Just give us a moment here to look over the champions. And is there anywhere in particular you feel like we ought to be turning our eyes? I feel like the Caitlyn lane, surely.
Absolutely. And again, this is a stylistic swap for BDSA from over in spring. When they came into EU Masters, it was all about Crownie. Get Crownie ahead, gank for Crownie, mid lane roams for Crownie, get him ahead, he's gonna carry your game. That didn't get them far enough in the tournament though, and stylistically they've changed so much from then to now, playing towards Adam, having Adam being that pivotal factor of their victories. Now suddenly we're jumping into this best of 5 and they've swapped gear.
And if this is going to be a redemption arc, this is one way to do it, to put some notes on the table and say, all right,
we can play both.
We can play both.
Yeah.
We can do both. Even though BDS Academy have typically played towards the top side in this tournament so far, and of course over the course of this summer, it is a switch up.
Let's turn our eyes to that top-up matchup, though, because it's still a pretty exciting one. And we prepped a couple interesting graphics, because these two top laners have been monstrous. When we were prepping for this series, we went to these laners for a reason.
And looking at these stats, I think there are some interesting things you can pull out of it. The way that we kind of saw it from watching the footage is that Adam was the lane player. Zagenda was very much about the team fights, but they're both good at both. Look at that CS difference. That is unholy.
That's ridiculous.
Adam, when he gets that advantage, tends to stay in a side lane, and that's why he's got these 6 solo kills. He just forces onto one person and says, put up or shut up, we're going to start fighting at this point. Zagenda tends to bring that into the team fights.
And that is very important, right? Because when we're talking about suddenly changing and playing towards that bot side of the map, your top laner with the Camille being able to roam, locking down this key target is going to be very important. But also, I'm really scared, man, because you did say that Adam does tend to stick to the side lane, and now he's on his 8 rocks where he has
this is great.
4 out of 6 solo kills.
We've got Ignite in the lane, we've got 2 fighter champions, get to have a real French fist fight in the top lane.
And also, him staying on the side lane, being able to do almost 600 damage on a champion is absolutely absurd. So BDSA do have the chances of playing towards the side lanes. You did mention how the mid lane for Ari suffers as well versus the Azir, right? A lot of poke. So maybe we'll also see Rika choosing and picking which lane he wants to roam to first.
Completely agree, and it does mean there's 2 volatile matchups, both top and bot, which could end up flipping this game pretty heavily. And as it stands right now, it's been a bit of a fist fight in both. You can see both sides trying to play for the control of the lanes, and I'm kind of waiting now to see what happens with each other and where they want to gank.
I think what I'm really excited for this, because yesterday it felt like a lot of draft difference, particularly when it came into the 5v5s. This game...
Don't hurt me, Alex, please.
Please stop. The NLC casters are crying already.
Yeah. but it came down to a lot of the champions who are on the board just gave inherent advantages. In this game, it is actually a lot on execution. It's on actually, are you the better player in this game, in this lane, when it comes to those skirmishes? And to see 2 high-level teams within this tournament go toe-to-toe and say, this is on execution, as a viewer, that's what I want to see. Who's actually the best here mechanically?
And also, if it comes down to outplaying mechanically, who's the better skill-wise? Vitality.Bee have 5 ex-LEC players on their roster. If somebody's going to skill check you, it is them. If somebody's going to start the fights for them, it's most likely going to have to be Skins. Skins solidified himself as most likely, if anything, probably the best EU Masters jungler we had over in spring when it comes down to the skill level and the mechanical prowess that he's bringing in. Talking about mechanical prowess.
That's both bot and mid lane there.
Namera.
Yeah, I'd say taking some fairly hefty trades.
What's happened there is, you know, Diplex, he's picked actually my favorite skin on Ari. It's an S+ tier rated.
Does it do more damage?
It does when I play it.
Is it like red stripes on cards?
It's like Go Faster Stripes. You pick the Foxfire Ari. That's actually the anniversary, the Ariversary chroma. When they put everything in the...
Stop. You're
It's because it was the Korean server release. It's the colors of the Korean flag. So it's the same kind of chroma. There you go. It's nice. Gives you more damage. Heard it here first.
Ari trivia incoming, because of course it is with Namera on the cast.
We need to get you like a bingo card. Is Namera gonna mention Ari?
Yeah, well, yes.
Drink 1 shot of water.
Is that not a free space?
Stay hydrated.
Like, just
we can get people hydrated.
Yeah.
If Namera says the word Ari,
you can stay hydrated while you dunk your opponents as well, like you can see in this laning phase. And yeah, I think that the Ari versus Azir matchup is, I mean, we saw it on paper there, right? Or on the screen. You can have strong trades back and forth. It really is about Azir constantly pushing in, and then Ari, much like in the Talir matchup, we saw that a lot more actually recently in terms of looking for the gank setup. And we can see that both junglers were hovering around that mid lane. You can see what Sho's just trying to do. Just secure that lane, get some vision. It allows you to push towards his bot side, use that priority, and keep the Caitlyn pushing in at the same time.
And also, these two teams have never met in a best-of.
No.
Over in the LFL playoffs, Vitality.Bee were actually coming from the lower bracket, and BDSA made it all the way to the final, so they never ended up meeting. This is the first best-of series that we get to see between these two teams. And I really like what you said about priority. Of course, Azir gives you prior, Caitlyn lanes give you a lot of prior, which means that Shio is the first one into this river, knowing that he does have the priority and help of his bot lane as well as his Azir. But Skins is looking around for a gank. That's a level 6 Azir, though. I wouldn't be too worried.
Absolutely. And I do want to touch on that Sheo pick, because the Sejuani is not strictly what we'd always associate with this guy, who does love to skirmish on very aggressive champions
He did
as
get
well.
all his junglers banned.
True. While Sejuani can kind of find those really good melee matchups for those early trades, it is a little bit more of a tank pick. It is a little bit more of a slightly scaling option in some ways, and I do want to see how we manage to play out a champion that's not always his wheelhouse, but maybe instead to touch on what could have been a dive, but Skeens decides maybe against that.
This is actually really interesting because what we've come to expect from these teams across summer, coming into Amazon New Masters as well, is that they're very aggressive around top side of the map. They find their ways to find their aggressive plays, but I think when you have both of the, it's not even an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. It's an unstoppable force versus another unstoppable force, and they're somewhat neutralizing each other. They're not finding their big plays just yet. They're looking for them. You can see that, of course, Skeens was looking for the top lane dive, but it's not led to anything yet. Hammer blow is yet to fall.
And at least we see what Skins is looking to do on the map, right? For Vitality.Bee, it's all about Skins and his early aggression, the early picks on the map, making sure you gank for your laners, you get them ahead. We said again, his mechanical prowess is above the roof, and right now playing that Wukong where you can gank early, you have that level 6 later on as well to try and pull some ganks down. Let's not forget that Wukong was also the name of the game in our series yesterday. Junglers really heavily prioritize the champion, and it is due to that early game prowess that he has, sneaking through the walls, trying to get these dives, ganking very early on. Let's see if Skins is going to be able to use that champion after he hits that level 6 to try and get any of his laners ahead. I'm particularly looking towards something maybe like this. Get your eye ahead, start roaming.
Absolutely. 15 seconds until Herald, which might be a kickoff point for that. And I do also want to call out, Yeskla forced Crowny and Odoti back with a little help from Jack Troll. Early on, they got two plates, in fact, early on, into a Caitlyn lane, which is not necessarily what you expect. Of course, Karma helps change that matchup a little bit with priority, but that's still really good news for Vitality.Bee, and a rough one for BDSA considering what they drafted.
Exactly, right? Because you have priority mid, which helps you secure priority box. You know that mid lane isn't going to roam down towards your lane easily. And even with that, plates down, CS going to the advantage of the Fellows and the Karma. Of course, Karma is just such an annoying champion to play against in the laning phase, but still, even with that, Vitality.Bee's bot lane, one which we have had some worries about in this tournament. Of course, the Unicorns of Love really dunked on in their first game against them in the group stage. They are turning up well in game 1, at least through the laning phase.
Now, of course, keep our eyes on the game as it's going on. It is, as we said, a relatively stable one. Maybe that does give us a moment to really touch on some of the stories of these teams, because BDSA in particular were the second place team in spring. They looked so good, and then they come into summer. They're playing weird, non-roaming mid matchups like the Corki, the Victor. It's looking a little bit lost. They suddenly switch to getting Rika onto Pixie and get out of lane, make roaming plays, and suddenly they look like a completely different team. But we don't have time because Sheo lands an ultimate and gets first blood. Karma is down.
Okay, you know what? That flash from Crowny was maybe either psycho or genius. I'm gonna call it a psycho genius, because from him to flash away, it meant that Jessica and Jackdaw probably had field pressure on him. That's why he flashed away. But Shio was around the entire time. So when Jessica and Jackdaw fell safe to pressure for that kill, to pressure for that way to be pushed, Shio was there to capitalize onto Jackdaw, and that is the first kill. Unfortunately for them, it does go onto a Sejuani. It's not the target you wanted on, especially when you have a Caitlyn bot lane. But nevertheless, it is a kill. It alleviates pressure. But then you also have the swap in the top lane where the Herald goes over.
Gonna get a full replay of this. You see the empowered Q lands. It's in the retreat path from Crowny as well. If Ignite comes through, maybe it's a little worrying, but I feel like that flash is not particularly necessary.
I'm telling you, Simultaneous. He makes them feel
there
safe.
You go. Whoa, wow, they're so safe right now. Get absolutely blasted by the level 6 of the Sejuani. Been safe in the 1v1 so far. Been able to, as Sam was saying, get that scaling nature online. It's not like Skeens has managed to find that much across the map, which is not something we are used to seeing from Vitality.Bee, especially at this tournament.
Do you want to call out, though, that while that replay was happening and the bot plays happened, Skeens did get the Herald, so does at least trade that one. So while there's not been that much proactivity per se, at least there was a trade. And we have occasionally seen this from Vitality.Bee, where Skeens does have those quieter early games, and that sometimes come back to haunt them, at least in group stage particularly.
I think right here it's absolutely fine, especially because your Fellas lane that was supposed to be behind is actually ahead. You can get down bot, get the turn on your bot lane wave, get that tower down, and when the Caitlyn who's supposed to be the aggressor is the first one to lose the tower, that means you need to swap your Caitlyn out of that lane, and the Vitality.Bee can match the same way. Now, of course, she is down bot lane, but Jessica and Jacktroll still have their flashes available from that previous gank, so they shouldn't be too worried.
Speaking of being worried, there is a standard Adam mid lane gank roam, but Diplex has himself an ultimate that was well played. I'm watching Nymera clap his hands there because he was very pleased with the hands
That was really slick. Knows that you don't dash backwards against his ear. If you can dash forward, so you're going away from that ultimate where it's being cast, that works out better. Adam, also a player that loves to roam. We don't see that many top lane roamers anymore, but Adam finds an angle to get towards
the
mid.
Infamous level 4.
Yeah, exactly. But then Diplex, he's got his thinking hat on there, and he goes, okay, right, how do I get out of this one? Chooses the right angle, and while it is an aggressive play from BDS, it doesn't lead to anything.
On the other hand, though, it's Shigenda now roaming down that river towards the top side. He has been spotted, of course, he was pinged out, but it seems like both of these top laners are taking turns in trying to impact the map with the ganks. Now, Skeens over on the bot side of the map, look at that. They have a turn, they're pushing the wave, they're popping the Herald, textbook.
They're going to try and take one. Crowley's taken so low, and he's just gone! Eviscerated in a moment, and the Herald will charge afterwards. Rika's turned up, but not in time to save the tower. It falls. Diplex here as well. It's a 3v4. Sheo flashes away. Rika trying to trade out the crown of the Shattered Queen, plus his passive will allow some danger. Jessica Chang's out, taken so low! Not quite burned out, though, and stays alive. It's a 1 for none, plus Vitality get the first tower.
Very well done macro-wise. This is why Skeens did not care shadowing that bot lane, because the Aphelios, Karma had been pushing down, and they want more.
It's not done. Rika's now trying to shift back, but it's still a 3v2. Dirty is trying to keep himself alive. Goes the wrong way! That backstep was phenomenal. Skeens plays it so well now. Dirty being ignited, but Jacktroll has to flash back out because of the damage coming through. What a series of plays.
French fist fight, but not in the top lane. It's in the bot half of the map. It's in that bot lane.
Is it done?
Diplex, no ult, has the flash. We have to use it.
We had a quiet 12 minutes. It's not quiet anymore. Diplex has got a flash, but not enough time. The ace in the hole comes through. Sheo gets a second kill. And what on earth just happened?
Took us about 12 minutes. Now we've got the fighting online.
I don't know how worth it is to actually flash when there's a Caitlyn around with an ultimate, because they're going to run you down, and eventually you're just going to die to that long-range ult from the Caitlyn. So Diplex not only loses his life right there, but loses his flash. So next time they're going to force his ultimate off of mid lane, they can re-enter and re-gank, or force him into situations where without ultimate you can't team fight.
I'm trying to think where to recap on this, because we had a lot happen in a very short period of time. Now we have that
the
bot side.
replay's gonna help.
Replay, tell us what we're recapping bot side. Lovely, cool. That's where we're going to start from. So you have the Herald, you know it's going to hit somewhere, and Vitality.Bee finally find some time to get towards bot side themselves. It normally was Sheo in the earlier parts of the game, finding more time to get down there on the Sejuani, but managed to push in. You've got a couple of ultimate options from Jessica in terms of utility. You've got the Graviton binding a Eclipse, but then there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Lands right on top of them. Cyclone through as well. BDS Academy underestimating the damage, and Crowny, not for the first time already, overstepping a little.
And this is very grim news when you have the Caitlyn in your team, and the Caitlyn is the first one to lose the tower, because right now you have to put your Caitlyn either in the mid lane or the top side of the map, where Vitality.Bee will be able to match.
What is going on? Adam did not want that one. The guy comes down into the ultimate. There's no way out. The healing's not bad. That looks like the wish. And now Shigenda's in trouble. The teleport's coming through. And Adam outplays it now. How dead is Shigenda? The shuffle forwards. Command attack is not required, because that's, of course, Orianna. But the ultimate still secures the kill.
Oh, and Diplex saw Rika TP in front of his face, but he was very unwilling to pull his ultimate to stop him with the charm.
And you know what is super, super annoying about that for Shigenda? You had the empowered Soraka roll, because you pop the ultimate from the Aatrox and you get bonus healing. You think, oh my gosh, a lot of damage. Q2 comes through, avoids the second part of the W, but pops the Soraka ultimate. Actually doesn't have the Aatrox ultimate. I'm telling a lie at that one. But still, Soraka assisting across the map. Rika doing the same. And he finally hits an ultimate, but it's an important one.
Yes, it is. Gets the roam off is what we've been praising Rika for all tournament long. Hell, the second half of the LFL as well, from what we're hearing from some of those LFL analysts like Middlecott, Rudu, those guys out there doing so much work explaining how they were playing, right? They were giving us so much info, and that's what we wanted to see. That's the kind of play that brings BDSA back into the game, because finally, their 100% first tower rate died in that bot lane, and they get back into a gold lead here with some good plays top.
And I really like seeing Rika in this form as well, right? You mentioned how Ari really does suffer into the Azir. What does he do? He keeps pressuring lanes, and then he was dipping into the river. He was dipping into fog of war. People had to pull back, and Shio maybe be looking for Jack Troll.
Lands the Glacial Prison. There's an ace in the hole as well, and there is no way for the Jack Troll to go. Throws down his shield. It does not matter. Adam does pop the ult, but that's about all that's really cost.
It's just style points.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a couple of times now, though, that it's BDS Academy who are first into the river, and it's because actually they still get the ability to engage very quickly on a whim. Nadotia in the correct place to follow up even with Soraka's more conditional CC, but Vitality.Bee getting a little bit out skirmished, regardless of where they are on the map.
And I think especially when that Caitlyn is not in the river to stop you with the traps, to try and set up for their team. I think Vitality.Bee, they need to be bunching up a little bit more, bundling up together with Jack Troll, because this is the problem when you lose vision in a particular part of the map. When your support is squishy, you need to bundle up together with someone else, or you're going to end up losing your life. And Jack Troll has lost his life twice so far.
And you know, Vitality.Bee, they have a team composition which allows them to pile onto fights like that if they were looking to contest. And we know Vitality.Bee, like, I call them kind of like the Cowboys of European Masters.
Yes. Please do explain.
It's guns at noon, draw, and they'll just try and skill check you. They love to just jump on front. Like, the trouble was like, what? Like, I get that it's a stretch. I find it funny, so that's actually all that matters at this point. But Vitality.Bee, they have a team composition that can pile on, they can skill check, but they're not buying into these fights right now. Are they going on to Adam?
Ooh, they're going to try. Couldn't quite land the hook shot, and Adam gets to walk on out of there. Gank attempt not going to quite work. Trouble, looks like you got something for me.
I don't quite think they could have killed him there with the members that they had, because Wish is online from Erdote as well. So I think this Aatrox was playing way too close to his tower, so somebody was going to share a bunch of tower shots, plus the healing from Soraka coming through. And this is that +1 that Adam gets to have by playing that side lane. The fact that Soraka is going to be your pocket heal if you get into sticky situations.
But the thing is, though, the way that play failing is actually kind of annoying at this point, because look at the amount of wards you got down here. So many dotted around. You're looking at this point where BDS Academy needed to survive on that bot side, even against that vision. They do so, and it allows them to make a play mid. Vitality.Bee, they had the perfect setup to go bot side, don't find anything for it, which means they're not really in position to defend against the Herald.
Minute until the Dragon as well. You just saw the Moonlight Visual well shifted away from there with the EQ of the Azir from Rika, who now finds an ultimate onto Skeens, taken pretty low. He's going to go down pretty low, but that phenomenal Glacial Prison followed up with the ace in the hole, brings him down, and the healing onto Crown. He means he's going absolutely nowhere anytime soon. Keeps going forward though, does Rika, who is on a tear right now. Diplex has got the ultimate to get out to safety, but they get the pick, they get the mid lane pressure, they'll likely get the tower to follow, and Dragon spawning in 20-odd seconds. Great sequence of plays.
That is disaster for Vitality.Bee. You mentioned, Namera, all these beautiful wards that the Ari or the Camille could TP on once BDSA were in this river trying to contest for the Dragon, but Skeens dying early means not only you lose your tower, you lose your life, you lose priority in this river, and you really want that objective. And I will say this again, Vitality.Bee are way too split on the map, and BDSA are snacking together as a unit, and the threat through with the ultimate from Brownie to find Skeens right there means you have no smite, you have no point being in the river.
And BDS Academy, they're always going to be an advantage if it's just a straight up 5v5. We can kind of tell that, but Vitality.Bee, maybe they can skirmish.
It's time to go in. Skeens gets one cyclone, looking for another. It's a massive knockup. Remember, Crownie burned the flash last time around, but he's being healed up thanks to the Soraka. No one is dead quite yet, but the health bars on BDSA are pretty damn low, and it means that Vitality.Bee, despite losing pressure in the mid lane, will likely claim the Dragon.
Shio has ult again though, and he's looking. He has a miss.
Gets the Dragon, but can he get on out? That's the question. But he just healing so much over the wall. The Soraka's keeping him whooping.
No way.
Not in a 5 as well. They're teleporting in. They want this fight. Oh my God! The Emperor Divine, Vitality.Bee from their lives. Rika with a quadra kill straight out of the top drawer. Nowhere else to find it.
And he's put Vitality.Bee into like the 9th circle of hell. The river runs red. Sheo stays alive for such an ungodly amount of time, and they don't even choose to disengage. They buy in. Vitality.Bee, they've just been socked in the face.
Oh man, that was like add insult to injury. You start this dragon, you know it's yours, it gets stolen away, your entire team gets aced, you lose your bot lane tower, quadra kill for the Azir. And let's get to see this again because Sheo's ult just came up and he has not missed. The second he dives into the pit, he steals the dragon away. And look at that, Adote is keeping him alive through the wall. Whilst Adam and Rika had the chance that Vitality.Bee should have had 30 seconds ago and get that perfect flank into the quadra kill for the Azir. I mean, when you've got the ult and you just shove them all at the back of the pit.
Yeah, that wasn't Emperor's Divide, that was an Emperor's Square Root, because they went real small after that one.
That was an Emperor's Squish.
Oh my god.
You guys.
The physics graduate was just very upset with me.
Yeah. I don't really have much more to add on to that. Just seeing that play again in slow motion, it adds so much more pain to it. And it is a champion that just continually gets banned. If people play this champion, it's often on that ban list. And Vitality.Bee, they have to try and find themselves a way through the Emperor's Divide once again. BDS Academy not quite going to finish off on this Baron.
And I'm just going to say Vitality.Bee are just trying to get in for some vision. Check through.
Takes so much damage. Adam is really feeling this, but they're healing. Oh no, Dirty. Tiplex over the wall, doing what he can. Adam finally falls and have a BDSA overstepped. Tiplex continuing to try and find more schemes. Into the backside, but takes so much damage. Sheo still alive, throws down the Glacial Prison. Tiplex really wants it. That's a charm. That's on the Cranny, who will use that 90 caliber net to get on out to safety. Adam dies, no one else falls.
That was so close because there was a charm mid-fight over the wall onto the Soraka. That meant there were a lot of warning sirens at that point for BDS Academy. Vitality.Bee finally able to use some of that superior mobility and a bit of that burst to try and take down that first kill.
And look at when Vitality.Bee chose to take this fight. Top lane wave was pushing, mid lane wave was pushing, bot lane wave was pushing. So they're like, BDSA are either going to have to respond to one of these waves or try and fight us in fog of war. You overextend. Vitality.Bee have a perfect composition to peel backwards.
And I think this is why they're going towards the Baron. They see the state of the waves on the map and they say, all right, if we split to try and answer these waves, our composition doesn't succeed as well at that point. We want to be grouping up. We can force them to us and away from those lanes which they can play off of by starting that objective. It's going to be another cancel though. Does mean that Vitality.Bee, of course, couldn't return to those pushing lanes. Now though, BDS Academy able to try and sort them out on their own.
But the thing is, slowly but surely, there's a 6,000 gold lead that's been built up for BDSA, but having that Caitlyn, knowing that with a Caitlyn composition, you need to be the first one to be in the river, you need to set up down your traps, you need to be allowing people to walk through these choke points to you, and then you have the Sejuanis, the Aziz, so many peeling tools, you can throw them back or even engage upon them, and Vitality.Bee want to skill check you, they want to find you 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, with the Ahri, the Camille, the Wukong, that's why they picked them, and there, it almost worked for them, isolating them on target and taking them down.
While we've got this breather, though, I think it's probably time to remind people not to forget to claim their August/September League of Legends monthly capsule for all those Prime shoppers out there, for your chance to get that RP, Mythic Essence, and all the other lovely goods you get within that. Don't miss it. It's free, guys. If you've got that Prime, may as well get your free stuff.
And look how cool this Soraka skin is.
Right?
You could be playing Soraka and getting some free love.
Is this the moment where we say that maybe Yuumi wasn't entirely the problem? Maybe it's just the fact that healing is really busted right now.
See, the thing is,
ban Yuumi and Soraka's coming
don't say anymore, please.
I'm just saying, at least you can kill the Soraka. At least they are actually.
Can you?
At least they are actually targetable. It gives the illusion of being able to. Look,
not this Soraka.
Oh dear.
Look, I'm trying to do my best to reason with this existential crisis that Vitality.Bee are finding themselves in right now, because this is a composition from Vitality.Bee. Kind of did want to skirmish early, really needed to. You've got a lot of champions which can snowball out of control. And you know that anyone on this top side can really do that from Vitality.Bee, but they kind of struggled. You know, they didn't find those early fights. It was Vitality.Bee losing out on those first punches. And they're losing control of the map now that they've fallen into this huge deficit.
And I think right here also Vitality.Bee are sort of forfeiting the third dragon as well, because it's spawning 15 seconds. But they don't necessarily really have any setup. They don't have any wards behind the enemy lines to TP for Sigenda or Deepwood to find these flanks. So,
well, while that's happening, BDSA will get the shove in mid lane, and I think part of the reason they were trying to avoid that fight is look at that discrepancy in mid lane items. I said hats off to Rika earlier. He decided he's going to put it right back on, and it's a mighty one indeed. A death cap to 1.5 items on the other side of the Ahri. Just such a discrepancy that's causing a big problem in these team fights.
And that's one of the huge reasons why Vitality.Bee aren't committing to the larger fights anymore. They've been shown up in a number of them, and oh my word, the fight around the last dragon. what a fight that was to pull back to it. But recap, wherever he is on the map, Vitality.Bee don't want to be. Vitality.Bee splitting up the map, taking some turrets across the board, giving themselves maybe some options to play around. Say this ward actually that's just been shown on screen as well. Just play around a little bit of that deep vision, split the map, see if you can catch out someone in rotation. I think that's Vitality's maybe only way back into the game.
I think right here you're probably looking for an Azir on a side lane because two items have been completed on the side of Vitality.Bee, so this is the time that you want to be fighting, taking some skirmishes around the map. Again, Wukong, Ahri, both are very strong, combined with someone like Camille who can lock somebody in place and allow that Ahri and the Wukong to get into that backline, take a shutdown possibly onto Rikas. Azir 600 gold, start cashing in, getting these items will potentially help you, and of course, Aphelios is such a much better team fight hyper carry than this Caitlyn. So if you do somehow funnel even more gold into Jeskla, one right team fight, one right Moonlight Vigil can turn things around.
You know who might be a better hyper carry team fighter than actually both of them? Actually, Soraka. Soraka is one of these rare champions which is actually a hyper carry despite not doing damage, because Soraka keeps everyone else alive. You need to burst down those targets before a second W comes through, otherwise things get so difficult. Fight brewing again, Baron started.
Jackal at least has that Chemtech Putrefy, but maybe not for much longer because he's about to fall down. No, he stays alive. Now he's going to try and keep his way out. The Witch comes down. Massive damage onto Skeeter. Crowdy is down there on the other side. Shishengda finally gets into the backline. Diplex can be able to try and save his top laner, but it's a double for Rika already. You can write the equation. It goes like this. Rika's Emperor Divide onto Vitality.Bee equals a Game 1 victory for the Academy squad for BDS.
This is absolutely disgusting. Adam goes down to like 200, 300 HP and just walks his health bar right back up towards Vitality.Bee. They lose one, they lose Crowdy on the Caitlyn, but that is not nearly enough to shut them out of this fight.
And it looked so good, honestly, for Vitality.Bee. Again, if you're Vitality.Bee, you want to be isolating one or two targets, splitting BDSA apart, not allowing that front to back with the Sejuani, the Azir, and the Caitlyn. And they almost managed to do that had it not been for Adam's Aatrox getting one reset to run down the entire team fight.
At the start of the game, we were talking about how it was actually Skander who was really the team fight top laner. Adam, he'd stuck towards side lane, stuck towards a lot of these individual 1v1s. Adam in this team fight is so strong. I
want to highlight Skander though, because look at him. He comes through with a TP and instantly dives onto Crown Shot, takes down that Caitlyn. Together splits apart the team in two fronts, but the second he ends up going down and giving that reset over to Adam, Aatrox getting resets will just run over your entire team.
It's the problem of playing the Camille. Once you are in,
you're in.
You're in. The only way you get out is if the enemy dies first. As soon as you go down, Adam has the staying power because you have the Soraka, you've got your ult resets. That movement speed means that you are definitely chasing people down, and you can see the difference between those two top laners in the second half of the fight. They get their first targets, but then it is Adam with the staying power after that.
Watch Skeens on the flank, though. He has got a potential angle here. He's got a flash and a cyclone and a dream. The problem is he's going up against Odote, who is very dangerous on this Soraka. And what have you got for me, Trouble? You spotted something.
Was spotted on a control ward, which then nullifies the flank that Skins also had, but they're unspotted actually. So that kind of ruins the plans for Vitality.Bee to spread apart and try to find a flank, try to find a pick. But right here, I think this is going to be last stand for them. The tower is almost falling. They've got another one behind them for BDSA, and Vitality.Bee, what have you got? This is probably the last team fight.
Yeah, well, you got to try and split. You can't. You actually, I was about to say, you have to try and split them up, find those single targets again. You're not going to be given that option. You're against a hyper siege comp. Lots of poke coming out from the Azir, range from the Caitlyn too. These towers are falling like a hot knife through butter. Vitality.Bee not really able to wave play it.
So the Caitlyn traps weren't put up in front of the tower. They put to the side alongside that Sun Disc from Azir. It's so hard to flank. And Jeskla take it solo, will throw out the ultimate. It's not bad, but it's just not enough. Diplex will find himself skinned. No more lives. He's a fox, not a cat, despite the 9 tails. Shigenda trying to clear the wave will get hit with the ultimate. The Glacial Prism will not secure the kill, however, but the inhibitors fall regardless in a 4v5 with super minions, Baron empowered, beginning to pour into this base. BDSA want this game won. They want it now.
There's nothing Vitality.Bee can do. It's one last dance, but it's right in front of the Nexus, and their Nexus is slowly but surely dying.
In an LFL team kill matchup, the cannibalism occurs and BDSA get game 1. It's a beautifully managed game, and they come out definitively ahead in this first one.
Now, we kind of built this matchup as maybe you can come out of